our first loss since round two, and it was a bit hard to stomach. Let's talk about it. Before we jump into this review of the game, be sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you can, share this video around. I would really appreciate it. Again, trying to get to 10,000. We're like 2,200 off, 2,200 subs off. So I would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But let's talk about this game. So last night we took on the Doggies at Marvel in our home game against the home tenant of Marvel, which is still just absolutely absurd to me. I know we have to play at Marvel, that's fine. Let's play against West Coast, let's play against Gold Coast at Marvel. Let's not play against Marvel tenants for their home game at Marvel. But anyway, that's not why we lost or anything like that. That's just something that irks me. But we started off this game like a house on fire. We kicked the first 4 of 5 goals, and I thought, okay, we are absolutely on here. And we just looked incredible. We just looked really, really good. There was a point where we kicked the first 4 goals, and the Western Bulldogs couldn't even get it into their forward 50. And their first goal came from a free kick. A couple of goals came, a couple of easy goals in that first quarter. But the thing that was a positive and a negative was that we were generating so many opportunities inside our forward 50. We kicked 5 goals 7 in that first quarter. And we only had a 17-point lead to show for it at quarter time. I think, and I tweeted about this, I think that the game should have been put to bed at quarter time. We should have been up by, I don't know, probably close to 30 points, to be honest, because there were some shots in that first quarter where we just missed, but missed bad that they should have kicked. I'd like to see the expected score. I haven't checked the XG yet for this and see where we really sat. But this game should have been put to bed at quarter time. And I remember tweeting during that, and I said, this is going to come back and bite us on the ass, because the last couple of games, it really has. Like, think about the Fremantle game where in the second quarter, we didn't kick a goal, and we dominated, and we kicked 5 behinds for things that should have been goals. You kick one of those goals, you go on, and you win the game. So Collingwood has a tendency, and we've been saying this since 2019 when I started this channel, that they don't put teams to the sword. And we just saw that yesterday. And I don't think it's for lack of experience with, these VFL players coming in and stuff. It's just getting the yips in front of goal, maybe just not backing yourself in. Maybe it's a belief thing, because we couldn't generate those goals. But the funny thing is, we kicked 7 points in that first quarter, and then by the end of the game, for the next 3 quarters, we kick 3 points. Just that's it. So you can see that first quarter, when we were getting all of those shots in, generating all of those shots, that's what really stuffed us up, and that's what we did that to ourselves. We really bit ourselves on the arse there. And then in the last quarter, when you don't kick a goal, you can't win games without kicking goals. It's pretty rare that you win a game without kicking a goal in a quarter. We saw it again last week against Fremantle. We don't kick a goal in the second quarter. We go on and draw that game. We don't kick a goal in the last quarter here. The Doggies kicked 5 goals 1 in the last quarter to our 1 point. And they're bookends, right? So the first quarter is our own undoing. We really stuff ourselves up. In the last quarter, the Doggies just ran over the top of us and capitalised when we weren't able to capitalise early on our opportunities. So, credit to the Doggies. They didn't die. Like, we kept them at arm's length for the entire game. And then they kicked a bunch of goals. And then we sort of came up, and it was a bit of a rollercoaster game, a 50-50 game, like I said in my preview and stuff. And they just played better than us and fought right to the end. So I think this game is a bit of a culmination of everything that's happening. And I'm not using injuries as an excuse, because we we've seen this for the last 3 or 4 weeks where we can play without some of these players. I think it does hurt the structure a lot. You know, when you have Markov playing out of the goal square, that probably doesn't help. You know, you could see that his patterns and his leading patterns and sort of getting back. At one point he was on Liam Jones and Liam Jones just annihilated him. So like when you see things like that, it's like okay, you can see why not so much the personnel, but more what they bring to the team. So I dare say we more than likely see Nathan Kruger play next week against Melbourne. He had, I think he kicked two or three in the VFL, and he looked good. And just for a big marking target, while Brody Mychek and Dan McStay are out, we need that. We need someone like that in. And you know, Craig McRae said it best at the end of the game, where he said, "We just we're just not hardened. Like this group, this specific group, which is a mix of premiership players and a mix of really young players, they just haven't played together a lot to kind of push, and they're just not battle hardened. If you were, and Maynard sort of said it best at the end of the game in the rooms. He said, this team only has about 100 to 105 minutes, and it's 100, or we're only playing 100, 105 minutes and a 120-minute game or 130-minute game, whatever it is. Um, so and we saw it last week, it was like petering out a little bit. And that last quarter where they kicked 5 goals, we looked absolutely gassed. We just didn't look good at all. And it's fair enough. These young kids, they don't have the legs in him and in them, and players are trying to play multiple positions at the same time and trying to will the team across the line. And we look gassed. And I know at the end of the game, I put up on Instagram. I can't remember exactly what I said, but I was pretty pissed off because we should have beaten this side. The Doggies, they got a couple of injuries as well, but they really struggled against pretty much half a VFL side out there. So I feel like this is one that slipped. The Fremantle game is one that slipped. We'll probably be out of the 8. Ironic. At the end of the round, but that's okay. Like we just need to grind out before the bye. We need to grind out. I'd love to win 2. I'd love to beat Melbourne, and I'd love to beat North Melbourne. We need to win at least one of those. But yeah, it's disappointing and frustrating because we started like a house on fire, and if we had just put in a couple more goals on the board, I don't think they would have broken the Bulldogs. I don't think they would have come back. Like we let them in. Like in that second quarter, they kicked 5 goals. They kicked 5 goals in the second quarter and 5 goals in the last quarter. And we had a really good third quarter. And I thought, we had a 2-goal buffer going into 3-quarter time. And I thought, okay, we just need to get the first one or maybe the second one, and we'll sort of go from there. And if we can get a 3-goal lead out, it might be half of them. But they, credit to them, they came back, and they just had the legs in the end, and we didn't. And we're coming off 3 6-day breaks, and we finally get a 10-day break to go into the Melbourne game and reassess and cure the wounded, count our wounded and cure them, and go in and see what Melbourne can bring. Individually, there were some guys that just absolutely just stood out. Jack Crisp had a really good game. As soon as he's gone into the middle in his last 3 or 4 weeks, he's been incredible. Nick Dacos has looked, oh my god, he broke the Collingwood record for most contested possessions, broke the Collingwood 26-year record for most clearances in a game, and he looked phenomenal. Kicked 2 really nice goals. Nearly kicked. If he had kicked that one in the last quarter, we would probably be on. We probably would have been winning. I'm not winning, but we probably would have went on and won. But he was phenomenal. Lockie Schultz kicked 3 goals, which was crazy. There was a couple of guys that did lower their colours a little bit. I'm not going to sort of blame individuals because it is a sort of team game. But Johnny Noble didn't have his best game for the club. He got subbed out tactically. A few of his turnovers resulted into goals, but that just happens when you're off, you know what I mean? Ash Johnson, he didn't perform as good as I thought he would, but Ash Johnson's a confidence player. I don't think we can take him out of the team, leave him in there for a couple more games, get him on a roll. It was a hard day being a sort of big forward, especially after the first quarter. nothing was really going our way going into that middle, the transition, and just sort of hitting him up, and he hadn't played AFL like senior footy for a long time, so it's kind of running under the ball and stuff like that. But give him a couple more weeks, because we know how good he can be. But if we keep taking him in and out of the team, it'll just shoot his confidence. And I think one thing that I love Craig so much. I love him so much. But one thing that I didn't like, and they didn't do last week as well, was Billy Frampton started as a forward, right? And I love Frampers. It was his 50th game, and I thought you needed to start Billy Frampton as a forward because you needed a big forward. But when the going got tough, we needed to put Frampton down back and put Jeremy Howe up forward. We were losing goals. Sam Darcy, Charlie Dean was on Sam Darcy, and he just wasn't doing that good of a job, which is fair enough. Sam Darcy is absolutely phenomenal. But Frampton needed to go down back, and Jeremy Howe needed to be up forward because he's a little bit more dynamic than Frampton, can run and take a leap, can take a big mark and kick a big goal. And we just needed Frampton's big body. And especially in that last quarter, at 3/4 time, they should have made the switch. And I think they were too slow, and they didn't do that last week either. I'd rather have lost by 5 goals, but we tried Frampton down back and Jeremy Howe up forward to try and quell that sort of bleeding from their forward line. And we just didn't see it. And I think that's, yeah. And I watched the presser, and I don't think anyone sort of asked that question. So I'd love to sort of, for someone to just ask that question. Like, yeah, it's very, very, very annoying. Very annoying. I didn't think that ultimately won or lost us the game, or it would have won us the game. But something needed to be done to sort of stop them. And yeah, we just couldn't. We gave up a lot of easy goals, and we shot ourselves in the foot yesterday, and it's disappointing. But there's lots of learnings to come out of this game, and a little bit, I know you guys hate saying that, we should be proud, but, for what we've experienced with injuries, 17 on the injury list, we should be proud of that effort. I know we didn't get the chocolates in the end, but, despite it all, they did keep fighting to the end, and they were just gassed, and that was that. And it sucks and it hurts, but we bounce back, and we take on Melbourne in King's birthday. But look, guys, let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think of the game? What were your highlights? What were your lowlights? Let me know in the comments. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets, and until next time, double checkers. I'll swoop you later.